Well, I'd say we're covering a new topic, but quite frankly, the Tories lying at this point is nothing new. So today, instead, we're going to go over what were the absolute lies that the Tory government seemed to have told over last night's their response, their nightly now press conferences over our current pandemic situation. And make no mistake, the Tories have dropped the ball massively. Um, you know, they allowed a week for this virus that we knew was in the country to run wild. Every other country, every other country in Europe, bar America, was ahead of us on this and getting right into it. Not us, apparently. But here we are now reaping those delicious rewards for their absolute, well, there's no better way to say it. The absolute, you know, they ain't going to do anything anytime quickly. So, this comes from the London Economic. So, in the middle of March, as the coronavirus pandemic gripped Europe, the World Health Organization sent out a very simple message: test, 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 to beat the spread of the disease. Noting that it is impossible to fight a fire blindfolded, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said testing, isolation, and contact tracing should be the backbone of a global response, a strategy backed by Nobel laureates shortly after. But the UK government, reportedly guided by Dominic Cummings, chose to disregard the guidance shortly after the announcement was made, preferring to push a strategy of herd immunity to protect the economy. And why are they so for this? We've seen exactly Trump do the same, because most of like Trump in America, the Republicans and the big conservatives over here, they are absolute worshippers of the free market. Now, really, the free market does nothing for us. About 90% of the population. Is a thing that happens in the background of our daily lives. Many of us never really care about what goes on in it. But to so many of these free market fundamentalists, who, even though many of them are involved, some aren't involved in the free market, worship it to a point that they bet and stake their entire careers on this. So make no mistake that it looks like we are in for a recession. It's on the cards, and as much as I don't want a recession to happen, it's very likely it is going to happen now. And looks like there's no way out of it. And the Conservatives pride themselves on being the party of business, despite not very in their past decade not passing any policies to really help businesses. If you were a FTSE 100 business, well, then you might have been in luck. But quite frankly, if you were, a small business owner, medium-sized business owner, you were pretty much screwed by this Tory government. Now, here we are. Their free market and the economy looks about to fall into absolute shambles. And once again, as has been doing the round, it looks like that good old socialism is going to bail out capitalism yet again. So anyway, we continue. So the approach was revisited. The approach was reversed shortly after a study from Imperial College London showed how badly hospitals would be overwhelmed, but the delay has cost Britain vital time. While Germany ramps up coronavirus testing to 500,000 a week in the UK, the government is failing to meet its target of 10,000 tests a day at the moment. Labour deputy leadership candidate and A&E doctor Roseanne Ali Khan said that the lack of testing is having a huge mental health impact on our NHS workforce, with former Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt also conceding that it was very worrying that the government was not pursuing a policy of mass testing. But the government response was not to give reassurance, but to lie its way out of trouble. Michael Gove said the shortage of chemical reagents needed for testing was provided to be a critical constraint on the government's capacity to ramp up capacity to a point which was discredited by the Chemicals Association industry shortly after. According to its members, there is no shortage of the relevant reagents, with many left stumped by the cabinet minister's words. The association also points out that there was an industry chat with the business minister on Tuesday, who made no attempt to find out if there was a supply problem for the vital ingredients of the COVID-19 testing kits. So, this question of why aren't there enough tests for the virus is even a bigger mystery, Robert Patterson notes. And if it turns out there is a shortage, these manufacturers are more than happy to increase their production. But they need to be asked, which has not happened. And why has that not happened? Well, we currently really don't know. That's generally the answer. The only people who do know are Michael Gove and the government. And their response, the lack of leadership. I know that Boris Johnson is currently in quarantine because he has it. But even still, that's no excuse for what we have in the modern age. Boris Johnson could be on a laptop in the office every day getting, daily briefings and still giving out leadership. But he is an absolutely ineffectual leader. As we've noted recently in the past week, you elected an after-dinner speaker who is good at giving a speech while at least slightly inebriated, but other than that, that's about it.